Good evening and welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, January 13, 2026. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. With 46 days in office, Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday has assured the nation that his new Democratic Party administration remains on track to fulfill the commitments outlined in its 60-day action plan. Speaking in an interview with SVG-TV News in Bequia yesterday, Dr. Friday acknowledged that Vincentians are eager to see tangible progress from the new government. He said his administration is fully aware of public expectations and is actively working to implement the promised initiatives.
And all of those promises we will meet, because it's not just a promise, an election promise. You know, there's a plan to it. We said in the campaign we will put money back in people's pockets. We're not throwing the money in the sea. We're not buying some luxury item that is not going to produce any goods. We're putting it in people's pockets. What are people going to do with that? They're going to spend it. So it's going to circulate in the economy. It's going to create more economic activity. And so we have no problem at all with that. We look forward to keeping that promise to make sure that the people will get the bonus that they have been promised, and that other persons, those who have been, we've said that the public assistance that will increase from $360 to $500. All of these things will be done, because when you put money in people's pockets, they go out and they spend it. It helps with the local businesses here. It helps with the services that are provided, entertainment, and so on. People have more means to be able to engage in those things.
The Prime Minister emphasized that the 60-day plan was designed to bring early relief and set the foundation for long-term development, noting that several measures are already at various stages of implementation. Dr. Friday also shared his belief that people can improve their circumstances when given the right opportunities. He said his government is committed to creating an enabling environment that empowers citizens to succeed. As part of this approach, the Prime Minister indicated that the NDP administration is working to strengthen partnerships with the private sector, which he described as a critical driver of economic growth, job creation, and national development.
You know, to have an economy that is vibrant and functioning, government can't do everything. And what we want to do is to get the local private sector, in particular, to feel that they have a partner in us, that we want them to do well. Because when they do well, then they hire people, they pay their taxes, they repair their stores, they buy services, they sponsor football teams and cricket teams and all those things that make for a good community. We want to create the conditions under which those things will exist. And all the things that we have put forward during the campaign that we are making good on now are working towards that, because it empowers people, gives them the means to do more things, and that will translate into untold benefits.
Prime Minister Friday reiterated that collaboration between government, businesses and communities, which will be key to achieving sustainable progress for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Although the new government has encouraged the public sector workers who were dismissed under the COVID-19 vaccine mandate to return to work, the Public Service Union, the PSU, says it has been brought to its attention that some of these workers, particularly those in the medical fraternity, are experiencing extreme difficulty in doing so. The union says affected members have been sharing their frustration over the resistance and runaround they have encountered, especially within the Ministry of Health. The PSU noted that it is actively seeking to have these issues addressed. Speaking last evening on the PSU Speaks program on Facebook, PSU President Elroy Boucher reminded the public that the current government, even before being elected to office, had given a commitment that all dismissed workers would be returned to their jobs once it assumed office. Boucher said this commitment should not have come as a surprise to anyone following the formation of the NDP government, and as such, the process to reinstate affected workers should have already been implemented. He noted that based on his understanding, the reinstatement process has gone smoothly across most sectors, with the exception of the health sector.
What was required was for the workers to go to their workplace, where the place where they last worked before they were dismissed, and resume. That was made clear. The government policy was made clear, and it is mind-boggling that the other affected sector of workers understood that, save and except for the Ministry of Health. Resuming means that you go to your workplace as if you are returning from vacation. And the process that obtains when you return from vacation is the same process that was expected to be obtained. Very same process that you would follow. You get a resumption form. It's normally done in duplicate. You sign up the resumption form. You're returning whatever narrative you want to put on it to say, as a consequence of the vaccine mandate, you're returning. And if you're returning on when the election was on, the 27th of November, so the 1st of December, or the end of November, you're returning from the 1st of December, your return date is the 4th of December. From the 4th of December, you have done your resumption. It is expected that you are back on the government's payroll. And I said, teaching service had no difficulty with that. And the police and other sectors had no difficulty with that. Why, the question is, why is it a problem within the Ministry of Health?
Boucher said he understands that the new Minister of Health has met with the top management within the ministry and clearly outlined the government's position on the matter. However, he said there are still ongoing challenges preventing some workers from being reinstated or fully reintegrated into the workplace.
So it's not an issue that lies within the realm of the politicians. These problems are administrative problems, plain and simple. And when you hear the testimony, so to speak, of many of these workers, you may ask yourself, why? Why not the other ministries? Why not education? Why not the Ministry of National Security? Everybody, I think, went back at customs. There are some cleaners within education, I think they are being addressed. Their cases are being addressed. Why? There have been people who quit their job, the private job that they had, upon the announcement being made by the government to return to work. And in one case, I am aware of spent the entire month of December without a salary. Because when they realized, when they went back to work the 1st of December and were turned away, and they keep spinning them wrong like tapping mud. And they tried to go back to their workplace where they previously were temporarily employed, and they could not because the job was gone. So you could imagine that person, that breadwinner, spending the entire December month without a salary, without an income. You could imagine that. These problems didn't have to become problems because the process, in my own estimation, in my own analysis, is rather a simple and straightforward process.
The PSU president said that he personally went to the Ministry of Health to seek clarity on what is preventing the affected workers from returning to their jobs.
I happened to meet the SNO of hospital at the same ministry. And I said to the SNO, all you need to do is to have the person do a resumption and you send it forward and your job is done. That's all you need to do. And then I hear about we were told to write up some form and so on. I said, that's not necessary. All that is needed is to do the resumption. That's what the government is saying. And you send it forward to the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health is required to send it to the CPO and your job is done. It's out of your hands after that. And I was passing, after just having the conversation with the permanent secretary, who said she understood the resumption process and that is what has to be done. And yes and no asks, but yes, the voucher telling me something different, that they have to do a resumption. And her response was, don't bother with voucher. So when you hear the problem at the Ministry of Health, one may think it's deliberate. One may think that it is the case, and you can't fault somebody for thinking that way, because it's inexcusable that all of the issues that are bound there are there. And an AS within the ministry, an assistant secretary, one worker went to that, one nurse went to that person and they were told to bring in your qualifications. That's how outrageous and outlandish it was. Bring in your qualifications. Do a reapplication. That's not the government. That's not what the government said. That's not what they intended.
Despite these challenges, the PSU president expressed full confidence in the current administration, which he described as a people-centered government with the interests of workers at heart. He said he is optimistic that the matter will be addressed speedily. And President of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, has raised serious concerns about what he described as a growing number of reports involving inhumane treatment of students by some teachers within the nation's schools. Speaking on the issue on the Teachers Speak program over the weekend, Robinson said information reaching the union suggests that certain actions could be considered abusive and in some cases amount to torture. He stressed that such behavior is wholly unacceptable and runs contrary to the core values and responsibilities of the teaching profession. Robinson reminded educators that their role extends beyond academic instruction. He said they are the second parents of these children, adding that teachers are expected to be nurturing, caring, and protective figures in the lives of their students. He emphasized that schools must be safe spaces where children feel respected, supported, and encouraged to develop both academically and emotionally. The SVG-TV president also cautioned teachers about the legal and professional consequences of inappropriate conduct. He made it clear that while the union exists to advocate on behalf of teachers, that support applies only to those who operate within the law and uphold professional standards.
I have seen some kind of things happening, especially when it comes to punishment, which can be considered as inhumane and torture.
Right.
And if we are the second parent of many of these children, and for some children, they don't really have a physical parent, right? Somebody else is performing that role. And we are expected to be caring, nurturing, create an environment that is conducive where the children would feel that sense of belongingness. We can't be too serious that we can't give a smile.
Right.
We have to be firm, stamp our authority, but we must do it. Remember that these children, they are human beings, and they also have rights, and we have to treat them with respect.
Right.
Robinson further stated that once actions fall outside the legal framework, teachers should not expect the union's intervention, as it cannot defend individuals who breach the law or professional ethics. He noted that accountability is critical to maintaining public trust in the teaching profession and safeguarding the welfare of students.
In some kind of things happening already, which should not happen. And I know the management of these institutions have been communicating with the staff about these things. In one occasion, I spoke with a counselor who said he addressed that already. And anytime you're performing your duties and you're going outside of the legal framework, don't come to the teachers union. Because we also are seeing some things which should not happen. And these are issues related especially to punishment.
Right.
The law is there. It tells the procedure for punishment. Don't take any word from parents to say what to do. At the school, it's the principal who is in charge, and you must follow the instruction of the principal. At the end of the day, it's the principal's report against your report.
Right.
And if you're found wanting, then too bad. Unfortunately. So we want to nip that in the bud very early. especially those who just finish education
college,
and they run right into teaching.
Right.
You have to learn, you have to observe, and if you're not sure, ask questions.
Robinson urged educators to reflect on their conduct and recommit themselves to ethical teaching practices, emphasizing that the protection and well-being of children must always remain the top priority. In other local news now, we hear that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines today received a fire truck, 20,000 bags of rice, and 2 containers of charitable items from the government of the Republic of China on Taiwan. Taiwan's ambassador to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Her Excellency Fiona Fang, commended the new government for maintaining strong diplomatic relations with her country, noting that the partnership between the two nations spans many years. Ambassador Fang said the donation is a clear signal of the enduring and growing relationship that has developed over time.
Our partnership extends far beyond the realm of government. It is brought to life through the compassion and generosity of our people. Today's handover includes a fighting truck, 20,000 sacks of rice, and 2 containers of charitable goods, contributed by the Taiwan government together with our dedicated NGOs, including the Simply Help Foundation and the Wu Junjie Foundation. With these contributions embody the heartfelt solidarity of the Taiwanese people and the Vincentian community, and reaffirm that true friendships is expressed not only in words, but in actions that improve lives.
The donation attracted a wide cross-section of stakeholders, including faith-based organizations, non-governmental organizations, and members of civil society. And the Ministry of Social Welfare, Community Empowerment, Ecclesiastical Affairs and National Heritage will be responsible for the distribution of the rice and the 2 containers of charitable items. Minister Siobhan John outlined that distribution will be carried out through communities and organized groups to ensure that assistance reach those most in need.
The rice alone represents nearly double the quantity of the previous donation and comes at a critical time as our nation continues to address the social and economic effects of natural disasters and global uncertainty. For many households, access to basic food staples remains a pressing challenge, and this contribution will play a vital role in ensuring that our most vulnerable citizens have food security and sustenance. The rice will be distributed through our established social assistance programs and community-based mechanisms to reach low-income families and others in greatest need. By doing so, it will reduce hardship, enhance household resilience, and provide a measure of stability for those facing daily struggles.
Minister John added that the items contained in the containers will also be distributed to vulnerable individuals and families across the country.
The charitable items, shoes, clothing, fabric, and toys also deserve our deepest appreciation. While they may appear simple, their impact is profound. A pair of shoes allows a child to attend school or church with confidence. Toys bring joy, emotional relief, and a sense of normalcy, especially to our children who may have experienced displacement or hardship. Collectively, these items reflect a holistic approach to social support that nurtures both practical needs and the human spirit.
Her Excellency Brenda Wills, High Commissioner of Canada to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, paid a courtesy call on Dwight Fitzgerald Bramble, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Foreign Investment and Diaspora Affairs on Monday, January 12, 2026. The meeting was held at the ministry headquarters. A news release says the courtesy call between High Commissioner Willis and Minister Bramble provided an opportunity to exchange views on a range of issues of mutual interest, including trade, security, education, renewable energy, small business development and youth engagement, reflecting the shared priorities of both countries. During her official visit to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, High Commissioner Wills also met with the Governor General, His Excellency Sir Stanley Kendrick John KC. She conveyed congratulations to the new administration, formally introduced herself and reaffirmed Canada's commitment to a strong and enduring partnership with St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Diplomatic relations between Canada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines were established on September 19, 1979. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs et al. Says it remains committed to strengthening bilateral relations through continued dialogue and expanded cooperation aimed at advancing shared interests and development goals. Welcome back. In more local news now, we hear that Assistant Commissioner of Police Benzel Samuel says 2025 was a year that significantly tested the police force as the organization faced evolving challenges and increasing demands from the public. He made a comments during this week's Police on the Beat program. Samuel explained that despite the difficulties encountered, the police organization remains focused on strengthening relationships with communities in 2026 through renewed commitment to community engagement. He noted that the force is placing greater emphasis on trust-building initiatives, proactive patrol, and open dialogue with residents, which he believes are essential to effective crime prevention and public safety. According to Samuel, meaningful partnerships between police officers and community members will play a critical role in shaping policing strategies going forward.
Okay, the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force operational posture is aimed at strengthening the relationship with the public, implementing comprehensive ethics and other training programs to improve the image and integrity of the organization, which will take some time.
That's right.
All of this will be guided by a commitment to community engagement, ethical standards, and professionalism overall. That is basically the posture in which we intend to take this organization forward for 2026. We realize things were one way for 2025, and with the improvements of all of us in the organization and with the help of the community, we can get things moving forward and solve crime in a more effective and efficient manner.
Additionally, the Assistant Commissioner shared lessons learned during 2025, which he said continue to guide internal assessments and policy adjustments. He pointed to the importance of adaptability, timely intelligence gathering, and officer wellness as key factors identified throughout the year. Samuel added that these lessons have prompted the force to review operational approaches and enhance response mechanisms to better serve the public.
Some of the lessons learned were, for example, one, understanding the socio-economic political context, and recognizing that the organized crime is deeply intertwined with social issues.
Correct.
Building local legitimacy. Successful operation with the full support of the community can be more effective and than policing just acting by itself. So once we have the full engagement of the community, that in itself would be a significant pillar for us to assist us with fighting crime, because crime fighting is not just a police thing.
That's
It
right.
is the entire society that would be involved in fighting crime.
Meanwhile, Superintendent of Police Elgin Richards also highlighted patterns and trends the force had to manage during 2025, including shifts in criminal activity and emerging social challenges. Richards outlined how the police responded through targeted operations, data-driven policing, and increased inter-agency collaboration.
For 2025, since before 2024 as well, we have observed certain patterns, and what we had to deal with is certain, should I say, groups that in different parts of the country that, well, in a certain geographical area, that seems to have been, implicit in committing some of or most of these serious crimes, and so because of that, we realized that there are many things that we are doing that were good, but still we were doing it in silos, and so we have kind of incorporate partnership. Our internal partners must work together as much as our partners outside. So we have had that kind of partnership inside, where we've had targeted operations, patrols, stakeouts, and intel and information from the general public, which we're so thankful for. And because of that, we were able to have some success in that area.
The police superintendent further stated that the police force will continue to monitor these trends in 2026 while refining strategies to ensure a sustained and effective response to crime. Richards emphasized that consistency, accountability, and community cooperation will remain central to the force's efforts moving forward. And a fire truck was donated to the government of St. Vincent and Grenadines today as part of an overall donation valued at US $500,000 aimed at strengthening the country's emergency response and disaster management capabilities. Minister of National Security Sinclair Leacock expressed gratitude for the timely donation, noting that it comes at a critical time as the government continues efforts to modernize and expand the capacity of the fire service. He said the donation will enhance the ability of firefighters to respond more effectively to fires and other emergencies across the country. The minister also suggested that the new fire truck is likely to be stationed in North Windward, an area that has long been identified as needing additional fire and emergency response resources due to its geography and distance from central fire stations.
Minister of Social Development has been lobbying for this fire truck to stay in the north of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. No, there's not a but, Mr. Bruce. The fact of the matter is that when you're Minister of National Security, you have to understand that there's an oversight by the Prime Minister himself. And even if my heart is with her this morning, if it didn't go to North Windward, it wasn't because of my doing. So, do you continue lobbying? But take comfort out of the fact that the ambassador says, look, Taiwan has a cheerful heart, and this is just an indication of more to come. And so that even if we started in North Windward, we will reach South Central, and the remainder will find themselves in the fullness of time to other parts of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. When we out one fire, we out all fires.
And members of the legal fraternity have been encouraged to work towards greater unity by viewing themselves as bridge builders between individuals, communities, and institutions. They were urged to adopt the mindset that their labor in God's vineyard extends beyond the resolution of disputes and that they can actively foster social cohesion, mutual respect, and collective progress despite encountering a minority who may resist change and progress. The message was delivered by Canon Ashton Francis during the sermon of Monday's ecumenical service held at the St. George's Cathedral to mark the opening of the 2026 law term of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The service was held under the theme, the ECSC, Justice That Endures, Anchored in Independence, Strengthened Through Trust.
And so this involves facilitating dialogue between friends and opponents, using your skills as mediator and negotiator. You can help conflicting parties to find common ground, reduce tension, and encourage collaboration. You are uniquely positioned to assist enemies in becoming friends. Also by advocating and drafting new laws that protect diverse groups, ensuring that persons feel valued, respected, and well represented when needed. And you can work for unity through community engagement. The law and you educate communities about their rights and responsibilities, empowering citizens to participate constructively in civic life, strengthening unity through shared understanding.
Speaking on the topic of justice, Canon Francis said that working together towards justice requires a commitment to acting justly. He explained that to act justly means not abusing or taking advantage of the weak and marginalized, emphasizing that justice is a biblical mandate.
And so, whereas unity is relational, how we relate to one another, justice is practical. Simply put, it's love in action. The concept of justice is rooted in the character of God as righteous and fair. Meaning, it's about setting things right according to His perfect moral law, involving treating people with dignity, protecting the vulnerable, showing mercy, and ensuring fair dealings, not just legal punishment, but pursuing justice through compassion, restoration, and at times radical generosity. An arsonist may burn down a building because of jealousy, and based on the hard work of the police force, they would apprehend the arsonist. And all focus and emphasis is on punishing this individual. Not much emphasis is placed on the one who is now devastated because he lost his home. Maybe he had no insurance, and that's a time for generous giving. All intertwined into this whole wheel of justice. It's not solely about punishment, punishing the offender. What's about the person who experienced pain and discomfort?
According to Canon Francis, the people of God are called to do what is right in the sight of God, even when it is difficult to do so.